Hey guys, so in today's video I'm going to tell you guys what I would personally do if I found myself working for Washington State and I was on Plan 3. TRS 3 per se doesn't really matter. If I was a Plan 3 employee, here's exactly what I would do. So the first thing I would do as a new employee is you're given the option to save into the Plan 3 account, of course, right? You can save as little as 5% to as much as 15% or somewhere in between. Me personally, I would go for the lower amount. I would lock myself in at 5%. Knowing that I can't change this unless I change employers. Now, why would I lock myself in at such a lower rate? The main reason is I want to have more control over my money. Once you sign up for a higher amount, that money's again locked away and you're forced to keep saving that money. Regardless of the tax strategy, if pre-tax is best for you or not, you can't make that change. And if you wanted to save more or reduce your contributions for one reason or another, you can't do that. So from a control standpoint, I would just do 5% into TRS 3, at least for now. Step 2 to that is that if I have my account set up and only doing 5%, I need to put money away somewhere else. I can't just let it sit like that and be spending the rest of it. I have to be good and save somewhere else. So the next step I would look at is, should I set up something like a Roth IRA, DCP, or 403 account? Those are gonna be your 3 areas to save on a tax efficient basis. Next step is really just to kind of meet with someone about taxes to get a good idea of what's gonna be better for me in the long run from a tax standpoint. Because the whole goal really should be, how can I pay the least amount of taxes over my lifetime, not how can I pay the least amount of taxes this year. So we want to play the long game to save the most amount of money. So we got to do some type of analysis here. So there are advisors you can meet with that will do this. There are CPAs. Obviously no one has a crystal ball, but they can give you some insight on what's going to work best for you based on what they've seen other people do as well. So if I was on Plan 3, I'd probably go Roth IRA just because taxes seem low and they're probably going to go up just the way things are looking and actually the way the tax code is written. So current tax code, lower than we had in the past, it's set to expire in 2025 and then it's supposed to go up. So just based on those facts alone, I'd probably go with the Roth IRA route. But again, something you want to research for your own individual situation because there are situations still that pre-tax is actually the better route to go. All right, so I'd keep putting money into the Roth IRA up until I either hit the maximum contribution amount or hit the income threshold. If I hit the max, then I'm gonna switch and start looking at either a Roth DCP or Roth 403B, assuming Roth is still the best ways to go. And then I start funding money into that. Once I hit the income threshold, then I'm gonna have to not use my Roth at all. I'm gonna have to put all the money into either the 403B or the DCP account. So those are things you're going to kind of want to watch for as you start working your way up the pay scale. Is you always got to watch that income threshold. I also have to kind of watch how these laws change from year to year because the contribution limits can change, the income thresholds can change. So it's something I always want to kind of watch for, especially around end of the year, beginning of the next year. That's when all the rules sort of come out for what's going to be ahead. The next course of action is to review your situation annually. Right? So situations change, taxes change. So every year it would make sense to sit down with somebody and look at any changes that would impact you and see if it still makes sense to be doing money Roth or to be doing money pre-tax. Because you'd hate to just set it up once, assume it's the best thing for you, and then 10 years go by and you figure out that that really wasn't the best move and you should have done something differently. So take the time each year to sit down and just say, hey, am I still on the right track? Is this still the best option for me? Now, the next thing to do as a Plan 3 member is I'd have to set up my investments properly. So both in Plan 3 as well as any other separate account, I need to go in and choose the investments. If I'm working with an advisor, they're probably going to have the investments chosen for me in the 403B or the IRA accounts. If I'm in the DCP or the Plan 3 account, that's 100% on me to choose that. And now the state will default you into either a TAP fund or the target date funds, depending on when you started. Now those accounts typically are more aggressive than people realize. In fact, target date funds constantly get sued for making people take on too much risk and underperforming the market. So what I always tell people is if you're in target date funds, you probably want to take some time to get yourself out of that and build a portfolio that's more customized to you. If you don't know how to do that, there's a link in the description about a service that we offer that we do that completely for you. We tell you exactly what to invest in and when to make the changes. Back to the video now. That's kind of the next step, is set up your investments and continually monitor these things. Again, don't want to set it and forget necessarily. The younger you are, probably the less likely you really have to make changes to it. But as you get closer, especially within 10 years, you're really gonna want to pay attention to this, because as Murphy Law happens, the year you want to go to retire, there's gonna be a big market pullback, and you don't want to be left there being like, oh, I don't know if I should retire this year, maybe I need to go a couple more years. You don't want to avoid that completely. You want to know that when you want to retire, you can retire regardless of what the market does. All right, so if I was on plan 3 going into retirement now and I need income, there's a couple of strategies I would consider. First is the market-based strategy. That's just taking the investments I have in plan 3 or really anywhere and setting it up into buckets, having some money set up in cash, some in bonds, some in equities, and having enough income set up on the safer side of things so I can draw income from regardless if the market is up or down. So that's not the guaranteed option, but it keeps me with full liquidity and the best potential to continue to grow my account. Now, the next options out there would be using something like the TAP annuity, the plan annuity, which is the TRS or PERS annuity. It's separate than the TAP, or purchasing service credits. Honestly, the way it works is the plan annuity typically pays out a little bit more than the TAP, but because the TAP has a guaranteed 3% cost of living adjustment, in the long run, it would likely pay more than the plan-based annuity. So if I was someone that needed guaranteed income, I want that guaranteed steady paycheck, don't want to worry about the markets going up and down, then I would come back to the annuities. I'd probably go with the TAP annuity just because it has the guaranteed 3% cost of living adjustment. Keep in mind that the TAP annuity is illiquid as well as all those annuities. So you have to be careful of how much money you put in there because it can't come back out. If you need more information on the TAP annuity, I'll just link that up top here. Now the next thing I would do as a Plan 3 member is I would highly consider using an HSA account. This is a health savings account that's available to anybody that has a high deductible health plan. So in the SEB medical system, there is UMP available and they have 3 plan options. One of them is a high deductible plan that has HSA available. So the reason I would choose this one is if you look at the rates here, because it's a high deductible, it actually has one of the cheaper premiums available. So it's only $300 a year for the plan, and the state actually gives me $375 directly into my HSA account. So assuming everything goes perfectly and I have no other bills, in a way you almost make money on the account. You have $375, you pay out $300. Now that $375 in the HSA account can be invested and can be used for any future medical costs, paying deductibles, getting prescriptions, covering any kind of medical bills that come up. That's what you can use that money for. In fact, you can actually add to it if you want to. And if you're someone that has a family plan, the state actually gives you twice as much. So you can get $750 into your HSA account. So it's something to definitely consider. It's not right for everybody, but if you're someone that's fairly young or fairly healthy, the HSA could be a really good move for you. In fact, we had one of our teachers down in Pasco submit us a document where she actually broke down the price comparisons of all the UMP plans. So she put that together and sent it over to us. I made it available as a download in the description below, so feel free to check that out. So to summarize it up, the first thing I would personally do is go to 5% contributions just to free up more cash flow to use in other areas. If you're already someone that's locked up at a higher rate, that's okay. Just know that you can have the option to change it should you change employers. Once I set up my contribution levels, then I would go look at where else can I save. You want to do a proper analysis of taxes to see if Roth or pre-tax is better for you. Get some other money saving for the future. Step 3, don't forget to invest your money. Just because you're putting money away into the Plan 3 DCP doesn't mean it's all hunky-dory. You are 100% responsible for your own money being invested. The state's not going to do it. So you want to log in there and make the necessary changes. If you need help with that, there's a link in the description below where that's all we do is help people make the buying decisions in their Plan 3 and DCP accounts. Action item number 4, if you're needing income as a retiring Plan 3 member, you want to highly consider using one of the state's annuities if you need guaranteed income. If you're wanting to maintain maximum flexibility and don't really care so much about guaranteed income, then a market-based solution may be right for you, but you want to consult with an advisor that's done this before, that knows how to build income portfolios for state employees. And the next action step is to consider an HSA if you're someone that doesn't use medical services so much, because this over time can actually net you a lot of money just for future medical use, because these HSA accounts never expire, plus you can add money to them each year. So over time you can easily have $5,000-$10,000 in this account. And if you're someone that wants to retire early, you could use the HSA to help offset any medical bills that come your way when you need them. And at age 65, if you don't want the HSA anymore, you can actually cash it out to spend on whatever you want. Yes, you still pay taxes on the money, but at least it's money that you have available that otherwise you wouldn't have. All right, so hope that video was helpful. See you guys next week. Remember that your future depends on what you do today.